headset. Shh. 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 Welcome to Moon Mysteries.
Take her to the moon for me, okay?
Okay, guys, going to the moon. Okay, guys, going to the moon.
You're listening to Moon Mysteries, hosted by Kaylee and Gander. A show based on the mysteries of the moon and all of its folklores. From its origin story to its purpose and function, even how it affects our emotions. There will be 2 shows a month. One focused on the astrological placements and transitions of the moon that month, and the other, well, they'll be focused on an interesting guest giving their perspectives, insights, and research on the history and mystery of the moon. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure to like, share, subscribe with all of your cosmonaut friends, and get ready to dive into Moon Mysteries.
Welcome to Moon Mysteries, Capricorn Season Edition. What's up, everybody? My name's Kaylee.
I'm Gator.
Welcome to another episode where we explore all of the mysteries of the moon. Conspiracy, factual, who knows? We're here to explore it all, so let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk. I just want to let everybody know that this is very special because trying to track down this mysterious astrologer, Kaylee Starr, and lock down a time and location to get this beautifulness going was it was good work. It was the alchemical work that is. So here we are. We have made it. We are sitting in a pond. Our feet are in the waters, the proverbial moon waters. So I'm excited to see what's going on because there's a lot of astrological alignments happening this winter. And I'm excited to hear what you have prepared for us because I just have a feeling it's going to potentially be juicy.
Well, we are actually recording on the Capricorn new moon, so that's kind of cool. The moment of the exact new moon was a few hours ago, but that doesn't matter. The moon's still dark, so I think it's an appropriate time to record. Yeah, and I'm sorry about that, my brother. I am the worst. I'm pretty elusive, especially during Sagittarius season. I just want to hibernate. Where everybody else is like, let's go, adventure. What is the vision and the quest? I'm like, no, leave me alone. I'll talk to you when we get to Capricorn season. That's pretty much exactly what happened. So, yeah, that's my bad. But anyway.
No, it's good. It's good. You know, the thing is with intuitive content creation, things like this that we're doing, you know, you don't want to just jump on the mic and have, you know, not feel it. You want to be able to have it be an energy exchange and not just completely deplete you. So I respect your time and space, but I like with being somebody who has a few different shows now, I'm constantly reminding people, including reminding myself. And so I hit people up like, hey, we're still on for that thing in 3 weeks. And then like, yes, I got it in my calendar. Okay, good. Just making sure. It's fun. I'm that guy now.
Yeah. And you do a good job of it. But yeah, we had to reschedule this a few times. But hey, we're here. We're here now.
We're here on the new
what
moon.
matters.
So
On the moon. There you go. It's meant to be. It's meant to be. Yeah. So the date today is December 23rd. Hopefully you guys will hear this while the moon is still dark. I think that'd be appropriate, but whatever. If you don't, you're meant to hear this when you're meant to hear it. Yeah, so we just had the solstice, the northern hemisphere winter solstice, southern hemisphere summer solstice, when the sun ingressed into tropical Capricorn, which means actually that the sun on our horizon went as far south as he or she stops, and then now is beginning its sojourn back to the north. What's really cool is if you live near the tropics, if you live near the Tropic of Capricorn, there was a day where you would experience no shadow. It's pretty trippy. I've never seen it. I've never seen it with my own eyes. And one day I would love to visit the tropics on a solstice and witness that. So that's really cool. Yeah, gosh, how do I?
Oh, that's like the inversion of the eclipse, right? Like when I experienced the total eclipse in Oregon back in 2017, I think it was, the shadows completely inverted, like the shadows all turned upside down for a second. Yeah, it was epic.
It's fucking magical, man. Like, no wonder we have so many mythologies about eclipses and stuff, right? And I actually would venture to say that all of our myths, while they talk about the human condition, they also talk about astronomical events. But that's my humble opinion as a baby scholar. So
yes, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think there's enough evidence to back up and support the astro-theological stories and opinions. I 100% agree. I think the Greeks and our ancient ancestors were so good at writing stories that they were able to encapsulate many different meanings and archetypes within one story, which
so many mysteries
is exactly what makes a really good storyteller a great storyteller. Like, for instance, when you're watching an epic show done by an incredible director like the Duffer Brothers, or some of these characters, they're able to encapsulate many different meanings into one scene. And that's what makes it good, because, if something's linear or surface, it's going to, not lunar by any means, no, linear. Then, you watch it one time, you're like, great, awesome, fine. That was okay, I guess, for basically wasting my time. But then the ones that you can watch it again, read it again, listen again, keep tearing off the layers, that's magic, and that's real art, baby.
Word. One of those stories that actually is talking about an astronomical event that I recently got my hands a hold of is the story of Inanna from the ancient Sumerians, talking about Venus's descent into the underworld and then her subsequent rising up again. It's really cool. I got this book. I picked it up. It's called Inanna, Queen of Heaven and Earth. And it's by Neil Kramer and, what's the other lady's name? I can't see it right now. I've got it over on my shelf there. But anyway, these two wonderful people teamed up. One of them is she specializes in mythology, and the other one specializes specifically in Sumerian texts. So they teamed up together to take these tales of Inanna, because there are many, and condense them into one book. And it's really cool because it goes over this lovely story. Well, it's actually pretty savage, actually. It's a pretty savage story, I'm not gonna lie. But Inanna's descent, her brave descent into the underworld, which is really when Venus turns retrograde or just dives into the sun, right? She's an evening star or a morning star. She's never separate from the sun. She's always on the horizon, right? Anyway, super fascinating story. And the reason why I bring it up is because we're going to experience, for the next 9 months, actually, each month, as the moon passes next to Venus and is in conjunction with Venus, we say, essentially Venus going through one of the 7 gates. So on her descent into the underworld, as she's going from a morning star and then diving into the heart of the sun, the moon conjuncts with her 7 times, and she loses an article of clothing or jewelry. And I think, and there are other astrologers that think this as well, that they represents one of the 7 chakras, right? So like there's this emptying out process that she goes through, and she's in the underworld for a while and is slain by her sister, and it's a very underworld appropriate story, really. She's slain by her sister. There's no mercy in the underworld, and you have to die to yourself. And then as she rises back up as an evening star, which is what we're experiencing now, she's visible on the western horizon after the sun sets. And so is Mercury right now, by the way. After this new moon, as soon as the moon goes and conjuncts Venus, this is her first like going back and rising up out of the underworld and her reclaiming her root chakra. So the very last article of clothing that was removed from her is this red robe. So now as she's rising back up, she gets to reclaim her red robe and continue on her ascent out of the underworld. So really cool. The first Venus moon conjunction will actually happen on the 24th, I believe.
Does that have any
So tomorrow.
Will that play on the color of the moon at all?
Well, the color of the sky behind the moon.
Yeah.
Right? The color of the sky will be quite red because it'll be quite low on the horizon.
Man, that because we were just diving into Austin, Texas, which is known as like the Athens of the South, which has this purple crown. It's one of the only Athens, Greece, and Austin, Texas are apparently the only 2 places in the world that have this specific purple crown that surrounds the city from the belt of Venus, or the way that Venus specifically hits the horizon during sunrise and sunset. It's called the purple crown, or the belt of Venus. And
cool.
Yeah, it's super beautiful. And that's kind of why Austin, Texas has like such fame and glory that it has. I mean, it's been, the capital of Texas for quite some time. And then they literally correlate it to Athens and call it Little Athens of the South. And funny enough, Austin, the name Austin is derivative of Augustus. So one of the emperors, and kind of etymologically is tied to ancient Greece just by the name. So that's a fun thing about Venus. And I'm starting to really like Venus, like, because you have the flower of Venus with its elliptical rotation. You have all this color, and it helps paint the sky these beautiful hues. Like, Venus is starting to become one of my favorite planets.
She is your ruling planet, so
is she? Oh,
respect. As a Taurus rising, fuck yeah.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah, right. I know, like, it's so interesting to me. Like, as I was starting to really get into astrology, you're most exposed in the West to this modern astrology where they're looking at all these outer planets, and the outer planets have like a huge impact. They really do. But it's like we kind of ignore the personal planets and the inner planets. It's like, oh, Venus, whatever. Yeah. She's there. Money, love, etc., whatever. But as I'm learning with this teacher, Brett, whom we will be interviewing in early January, by the way, and I'm stoked for it. So excited for that. We're going to talk about calendars and time, and it's going to be sweet.
Yes.
But anyway, as I'm learning with this teacher, and he's showing us some of the traditional stuff and showing us like how to look at the cycles of these planets. It's like, yeah, sure, outer planets, blah, blah, blah. But how about the initiation that you just went through with Venus? My what? And then like, okay, here's the cycle of Venus, and here's where you fit into that cycle, because time doesn't stop. The stars don't stop moving. Yeah, you've got your birth chart, but that's like one teeny tiny fractal of this entire mosaic of like wheels within wheels. And here's how you fit into that. And it's not just about you. And it's like, whoa. Anyway, absolutely mind blowing. I absolutely love working and learning with Brett. It's been a huge blessing. But anyway, I think that we ignore the personal planets, and it's like we think they don't have a big impact on us. but they do. They're called the personal planets for a reason. So so as I'm learning more and paying attention and consciously tuning into that, it's blowing my freaking mind. But we're here to talk about the moon, so let's back to the moon.
Back to the moon.
Back to the moon. Just a couple quick dates. So tomorrow is the first Venus moon conjunction, since I was just talking about that. And then on the 6th, just double checking my time here. Yeah, the 6th of January is the full moon. So full moon in Cancer. That will be a good time. Right after a Mercury Cazimi, so that'll be really interesting. Yeah, so it goes Mercury Cazimi, which is a Mercury conjunction with the Sun. Speaking of cycles, that'll be beginning a new cycle with Mercury in the sign of Capricorn. And then the full moon right after that. So very cool. Something else that also happens this month, not moon related, but still astrology related. Mars will turn direct. So he stops at 8 degrees Gemini, and then on what day? Just again double checking my date here. I believe the 8th. No, not the 8th. Apologies. Just hang out with me for a second here. We can edit out the silence, right, Roman?
Always put more work on me, Kaylee. That's why I love it.
He never edits that out. Anyway, the 12th of January, Mars turns direct. So we'll still be in Capricorn season when Mars turns direct. So that'll be interesting. An interesting day for sure.
Tapping on the Cappy.
Yep. Good times. There's a lot going on, but yeah, dude. So
the full moon, I missed a little bit. I had to go tend my fire because the firewood that I've been able to get are really long pieces, and so I have
just pushing them in.
I'm pushing them in, and so like I'm over here like looking at it. I'm like, oh god, because I have definitely. Anyways, we won't talk about the mistakes I've made with the log sticking out of the fireplace and the carpet that's burnt now, and we won't talk about that. But I do want to ask about this full moon in Cancer coming on January 6th. If we don't get around to doing another show about it, maybe some more of the archetypal energies that we can expect to be influenced by, and what to look out for. Yeah,
well, the Capricorn Cancer axis. Since we're in Capricorn right now, I'll start there. Okay, yeah, exactly. Hang loose, my brother. So, the Capricorn part of the axis, right? This speaks of tradition and rules and boundaries, and practicality and 3D physical reality. It's like, how do you create a safe space, and how do you create a space and something that's going to last 7 generations into the future? And then the Cancer side of that axis is, okay, how do we make it a home? How do we make it a nurturing space? And what do we need to provide in order to have that thing that we now have a safe space for flourish? So full moon in Cancer, it really, I mean, that means that the sun is on one side and the moon is on the other, right? That's what a full moon is from our perspective on Earth. And so it's like the sun in Capricorn that's taking this tradition and this archetype of structure and foundations and shining it on the Cancer moon, which is nurturing and comforting and seeking safety, right? This is what a full moon is. This is the flashlight, boom. Anyway, so it
accentuates whatever house the moon is sitting in.
Totally, yeah, absolutely, 100%. So essentially, the Cancer full moon is really, at the end of the day, it'll be asking us, like, how do you create safety in your life? How do you nurture? What are you nurturing? And is what you are creating for yourself, is it going to last? Is it just something that's like a quick flash in the pan, or is it something that's going to actually, like, can you see it through to completion? Right. Anyway, that's the basic gist of it. It will be making some interesting aspects. It'll be the moon itself will be sextiling Uranus from Taurus. So there is this added like innovation and rebellion kind of flair being added to the mix. A sextile is a harmonious aspect, right? Sextiles and trines, those are like the softer aspects. They're the sign of Taurus and the sign of Cancer are both on the night team. They're both considered the quote unquote negative signs or the feminine signs. So earth and water, right? Which makes this aspect a harmonious one because they work well together. Just explaining it for everybody in the back there. But anyway, it's an interesting aspect actually because the moon will have just finished sextiling Uranus before the full moon. So we're carrying this energy of innovation and change and trying to Uranus and Taurus has been for a lot of these years that it's been there. It's been kind of like,
how long?
Oh man, hold on, let me finish the thought. While Uranus has been in Taurus, it's been about like totally innovating how we see resources, but also changing how we view the natural world and how we how and if we're able to be embodied, right? It's been actually a very jarring energy because Uranus belongs to the sign of Aquarius, which is in a square, and I'm getting too complicated here, but it's a really weird, literally weird energy in a typically stable and like secure and grounded sign. So it's been a very like jarring and unusual energy, but we've been adapting to it, right? It's like forcing the sign of Taurus to adapt. But anyway, so we're taking this like weird, jarring, but also innovating and strangely artistic. Like I think of AI art when I think Uranus and Taurus, right? But anyways, we're taking this weird energy and we're trying to like, okay, now how do we Cancer with it? How do we nurture with it? How do we use it for our benefit for creating something that's going to last the next several generations, right? So how do we take this technology, right, and use it to our advantage? Or, you know, the alternative to that is how do we become enslaved to it? So how do we prevent that by using it with consciousness? How do we stay embodied, right? That's basically my biggest question this entire season for the entirety that the sun is in Capricorn is how do I stay embodied? Because Capricorn at the end of the day is about the 3D reality. It's about practicality. It's about being in your physical body. So that will be the ultimate question for this month while the sun is in Capricorn is what do we do to stay embodied? What tools do we need? And going from there.
Yeah, that's something to look forward to. Honestly, I kind of like that. It makes a lot of sense with a lot of the plans I have coming up as well. But yeah, shining the Cap light and the Cancer energies is really, really, really. That's something I'm like, oof. I want to sink into that. I want to sink into that a lot. Yeah.
Right, and I mean, like all 12 signs, right? They're all on an axis. It's actually more like 6 signs with 2 sides.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I'm working with presently is how do these 2 signs that seem to be polar opposites, how are they the 2 sides of the same thing, and what are they the 2 sides of the same thing of? So anytime there's a full moon, it's a really great opportunity to explore that question. The other thing that we got to look at while we're in Capricorn season is where is Saturn, since Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn right now is in Aquarius and he's finishing out his time in Aquarius. This is the last Capricorn season with Saturn in Aquarius. The next time we come around to Cap season, Saturn will be in Pisces. So with Saturn in Aquarius, right, the entire time Saturn's been in Aquarius, we've been dealing with lockdowns, we've been dealing with mass censorship, we've been dealing with all kinds of control over who we associate with. Aquarius is about the community. It's about networks. It's about communication. It's also about innovation and change and challenging traditions, right? Capricorn is tradition, while Saturn is in Aquarius. It's like, okay, that's what you're used to. That's what the tradition. That's what the structure has been. Now let's shift it. Let's change it. And like, what are the rules that need to be broken, right? And what are the rules that need to be rebelled against? What are the rules that need to be changed? Right. So that's Saturn in Aquarius. And I feel like, even though there have been a lot of really terrible things that we've seen go down with Saturn in Aquarius, it's been pushing people to the point of breaking out their Uranian Aquarius self of like, no, actually, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to associate with whom I choose to for my own mental health or whatever, right? So good times.
Yeah, whenever Daddy Saturn is, out there making his rounds, everybody's like looking behind their back, like, oh God, okay, all right, here we go. And Dad's back, okay. Yeah. Like, all right, clean it up. No partying, anymore. I know.
Party, but just party responsibly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And offer Saturn, of course, some of your favors, to pay homage and respect.
Now, one important thing that I will say about Saturn before we move on is, whatever sign and therefore whatever house Saturn is transiting through, it often brings a ton of obstacles, right? A ton of blockages. And I just spoke about some of those, right? Lockdowns, etc. But it forces you to put a lot of work into that area of life. And if you put the work in, when Saturn leaves that sign, you get a reward. Okay, you get something, right? And it's not like a Jupiterian, here's a bunch of money kind of reward. It could be, but it's more like things ease off, and you're rewarded for the effort that you put in. So the last thing I want to say is, like, while we're moving through Capricorn season, until we get into Aquarius, now's the time to really buckle down and be like, okay, what do you actually want to see come from this time, right? What I'm telling you to get to work, right? Get to work.
Oh,
get to work, buckle down.
Damn it.
And I'm saying this for myself too, right? Because while we were in Sagittarius, I was venturing. Okay, I was hibernating, but I was venturing in my own way. Now we're like, okay, back to work. Let's go.
The naughty path.
we have things to take care of.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's tantalizing to look at the beautiful lights on the side, but there's a path. There is a path. And we will walk that path. And yeah, I feel like I felt the same. I had the same type of things happening. There was so much work to be done. I didn't want to do any of it.
So standard Sag.
God damn Sag. Yeah. And so I'm excited. 2023 is literally right around the corner, and it is going to be insane. So
it is going to be insane. So many big sign changes. I'm stoked.
Big transitions. And so do you think that's kind of what 2020, I mean, I guess we can almost do a little bit of a wrap up since we're here at the end of 2022, but do you feel like energetically it was almost like the heightening, it was just a lot of focused energy on a lot of people's lives, and 2023 is almost like going to be an easing off of that Titan energy, or do you feel it coming in? Do you feel it coming in even stronger?
It's just a shift of energy, right? I don't think there's going to be an easing off because okay, so let's start with 2022, right? So 2022 was extremely disruptive. There was a ton of disruptive, jarring, like crazy energy of just really difficult, hardcore karmic aspects, right? We had all year, we had the Saturn Uranus square, and a square in general, for those in the back, is a difficult energy. It's an activating energy. It's friction. The two signs involved, Taurus and Aquarius, they're both fixed signs. Typically, with fixed signs, they're said to be like not stuck in their ways, but they can be a little bit stubborn, right? Because it's like the deepening and the expanding of that particular season's energy. So anyway, with these fixed signs with Taurus and Aquarius, it's very we were dealing with extreme supply chain issues, which are still playing out, right? We're dealing with extreme like resource issues, which are still playing out. There's a lot to be said about that, but also the nodes were involved. So we had eclipses on the Taurus Scorpio axis, which is in mundane astrology considered like one of the biggest financial aspects or financial axes of the zodiac. Taurus and Scorpio both dealing with finances and resources and how we like manage those things. So eclipses on that axis, Saturn squaring that. Oh my god. With Uranus involved. Oh my god. It's like all of the things that you could possibly list for major disruptions happened in 2022. It was like Mars involved with the nodes, Saturn squaring the nodes, eclipses in the financial axis. Is just like insanity. And then a Mars retrograde in Gemini, which is not finished. It's still going. It's like 8 months of Mars in Gemini. Oh my God. So anyway, 2022 was a lot of craziness. 2023, we're no longer dealing with Saturn squaring the nodes. So that's done with, thank God. But we are going to see Saturn changing signs. So Saturn's going from Aquarius into Pisces. We're seeing Pluto flirt with 0 degrees Aquarius. It's going to go back into Pluto changing signs is a big fucking deal. Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008, and we saw the mortgage crisis and a bunch of 2008. Just think back to what happened in 2008. It was major financial issues. But anyway, Pluto changing signs is a big deal. We're also seeing, Mars will, by mid-January, forget what date exactly, I just looked at it, but I forget. But anyway, Mars turning direct finally, and then moving out of Gemini is also going to be a big shift in the energy. And then Jupiter will whip through Aries and by May be in Taurus, which is going to be fantastic, actually. Jupiter in Aries it can be a really positive thing, or it could like escalate Martian related activities around the world, as Aries is a sign of the warrior. But Jupiter brings like a benefic and kind of philosophical approach. So we'll see how that plays out. But Jupiter moving into Taurus is like expanding our embodiment and expanding artistry and expanding the sensual side of things. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then Jupiter connecting with the nodes and with Uranus is also going to be really interesting. So anyway, there's these really significant sign changes of these big heavy hitting planets that we're going to experience next year. So it's just a different energy, and it's a shifting of the energy. So yeah, it's not letting up, my friend. It's not letting up, but it's just going to be different, right? So that's what I got to say about that for now. There's too much to go into, but that's good enough for now.
Oi, hoi, hoi. You're familiar with Tycho Brahe, right? Astronomer.
Yep.
He has an incredible amount of esoteric lore tied behind him, but he was gifted this island of Heaven, or HVEN. I like to just call it heaven, I guess. But yeah. The observatory that he built was called Uraniborg.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so I was wondering, because Uranus etymologically, I guess, comes from ancient Greece and means the sky. But I was wondering, do you have any more? Is that what that Uraniborg? It was like Sky Station, basically. I guess now that we're trying to break down etymologically. But what's your opinion on his model of the universe, the geo-heliocentric model?
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work. You don't like it. It's terrible.
That's my opinion. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Yeah, that's all I got right now. Doesn't work.
Sweet. I was just mainly trying to find out etymologically the why it was called Uraniborg, but now that I think about it, just actually means observatory, kind of like observing the sky. Yeah, like.
Well, I mean, yeah, Uranus is considered the god of the sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think this is why they now associate Aquarius and Uranus with astrology, is because we've named Uranus we've given it the name that it has now, right? And it's associated with technology and all that fun stuff. But yeah, just it's sky observatory, 100%. Yeah, observatory of the stars. So yeah, I don't think there's anything more deeper than that to it, but I could be wrong. Yeah. By the way, I think that
it's also the Borg alien groups. Could be like Sky Alien Observatory for the Borgs, the cyborgs, the Uraniborgs.
Maybe. What's the etymology of Borg?
I was trying to find it. Borg, one who assimilates.
Yeah.
Or Borg means fort also, like many other castles in Sweden, which is where he was from. So it means sky fort.
There you go.
But I kind of like the alien one more, but you know, I guess we can go with the actual Swedish definition, since the man wasn't Swedish, in fact. Do you want to get on to some poetry and articles?
Yeah, dude. Do you want to share something next?
Yeah, let me see what we got going on here. There's a few different things.
Got a poem ready to go. If
let's see here. Yeah, I'll do this article. We'll talk about this HAARP campaign, and then we'll pass it over to you here. So, this, like I was talking to Kaylee about before, like when it comes to researching for the show, finding out what we're going to talk about, how we're going to talk about it, so on and so forth. If I come across the word moon, I save it. I tab it. Okay. So, expect to get the plethoric amount of wide variety of anything related to the moon. And I mean anything. Now, this is directly affected and effective of the moon. This is a story on an article on HAARP campaign. The projects range from Jupiter to the moon, and there's some fun number magic in here and some green language going on. So, the University of Alaska Fairbanks is operating the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program Facility, or HAARP, for 13 projects this month. The projects are the latest made possible by federal support for the Ionospheric Research Facility in Gakona. In 2021, the University of Alaska Fairbanks received a 5-year, $9 million grant to establish and operate the Sub-Auroral Geophysical Observatory for Space Physics and Radio Science at HAARP. HAARP Research Support Services lead Evans Callis says that this month's research campaign is funded by the National Science Foundation. They help us with the funding aspect to make the program happen, and we work directly with the scientists to make their work happen, Callis said. Callis calls the 10-day campaign, which runs through October 28th, unprecedented. The most experiments we have under our NSF grant that we're currently operating under, he said, also the most diverse set of experiments we've ever had. And it's not all hard science. Among the projects is part 2 of an endeavor that uses HAARP's high-power radio transmitter for art. It involves transmitting a signal into the ionosphere, which can be picked up by ham radio operators around the world and decoded into low-resolution TV images. Narrow-band television video art. It also includes a spoken word and sound art, Callis said. It's kind of a collaborative work between the artist and the amateur radio community to make the artwork happen. Canadian artist Amanda Dawn Christie first transmitted art via HAARP in 2019. The other dozen projects being conducted using the HAARP facility are scientific, including a NASA experiment that involves bouncing signals off of the moon.
Very similar to ground penetrating radar, actually, Callis said. You know, we use that here on Earth, but we're applying it to figure out the composition of asteroids, the moon, and things like that. Another HAARP experiment aims to better understand low-altitude, aurora-like atmospheric glow known as strong thermal emission velocity enhancement, or STEVE. Callis says the experiment uses HAARP's transmitter to send out so-called hot electrons thought to cause STEVE, or strong thermal emission velocity enhancement. And if we see the air glow and it matches the wavelength of light that we see from naturally occurring STEVE, that would give us indication that hot electrons are playing some role in the formation of STEVE, he said. HAARP was built to conduct experiments in the Earth's ionosphere, but another project happening this month employs it to probe a similar electrically charged region over Jupiter, the giant gaseous planet 374 million miles away. This is a first of its kind experiment, which, at least to my knowledge, has never been attempted before, Callis said. We transmit several different frequencies from HAARP directed at Jupiter. We listen for that echo that returns. And that should be able to tell us something about the electromagnetic conditions around Jupiter. The wide array of projects underscores the enduring scientific research value of HAARP, which began in 1993. Callis says it remains the most powerful and flexible instrument of its kind in the world, and attributes this month's research campaign to the NSF funding, which provides for maintenance and prolonged viability of the facility, and the sense of security that this brings helps scientists feel more comfortable coming up with a proposal to make use of the facility, he said. Scientists with NASA, the Naval Research Laboratory, and Los Alamos National Lab, as well as numerous universities, are involved in this month's HAARP research campaign.
Very interesting how that is literally Uranus in Taurus. We're talking about technology and innovating and innovation and using art to help that process along.
Straight up.
Wow, that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to it, you know, like when you look at like the talk and some of the folklore and conspiracies behind the moon itself being some sort of transmitter being put there specifically to transmit communications in a communication station, then blasting signals right at that, and then the potential, like, you know, I don't know if we settled on whether or not the moon is hollow, but there's a lot of NASA talk that the moon could potentially be very hollow, which is very interesting for a timekeeping crystal.
Totally. Dude, 100%. Yeah, that's fascinating. So while we're on NASA, while we're on spaceships, I think the last time we recorded, we talked briefly about the NASA's Orion spacecraft and the launch of the Artemis 1 mission to go around the moon and get some data and then come back. It has come back. December 11th, landed in the ocean, in the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, wow. December 11th, huh?
Allegedly. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna put allegedly on everything. I don't care. But yeah, so Orion is back. So upon Orion's successful splashdown in the Pacific Ocean west of Baja, California at 9:40 Pacific Standard Time, you know I'm looking up that chart later, flight controllers and mission control at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston spent about 2 hours performing tests in open water to gather additional data about the spacecraft, including on its thermal properties after enduring the searing heat of re-entry through Earth's atmosphere. Recovery personnel also spent time collecting detailed imagery of the spacecraft before beginning to pull the capsule back into the USS Portland's well deck. Very cool. Very cool.
And what's the information they grabbed from Artemis 1 here?
I don't know if they published that yet.
Oh, Sneaky. December 11th is it's a significant date for me because I have, I think, 4 or 5 different friends with that birthday.
Oh yeah.
2 of them being twins. One of them being my best friend, my oldest and longest friend. That's why I remember that date so well, is because that's his birthday. Yeah, it's a strong Sag day. I mean, like, everybody I know that has that birthday is incredible. Like, they are just strikingly beautiful and true Sagittariuses by all the archetypal means.
Very cool.
Do you have more NASA stuff? I have one more NASA-y type thing.
Go for it.
Okay. This is I found a video of this lady posting about there being a square around the moon. And I was like, that looks kind of fake, but I'm going to dive a bit deeper into this. And then this is what we have for the science explanation of this. So this is directly from NASA, and it's just a Huffington Post article, nothing crazy. There is a giant square structure hidden under the moon. NASA says there is a giant square structure under the moon. Usually when someone on the internet writes about geometric forms found on the moon, it's a crazy UFO hunter who doesn't understand pixelation of composite images taken at high altitudes. This is different. Scientists report that rifts across large areas of the moon's surface actually forms an enormous rectangle. The area in question is the Ocean of Storms, an enormous and obvious feature of the moon, which was once thought to literally contain an ocean. In the modern era of astronomy, it has been understood, of course, that the ocean is actually just under another area of basalt rock, and the technical term is Maria, which is just Latin for sea. But it had been assumed that the shape was a 2,000-mile wide crater caused by an asteroid impact and represented a lucky escape for Earth. Now, they're not so sure. In fact, new studies suggest that the ocean was actually caused by cooling lava on the early moon, and the satellite was actually far more active and dynamic than we used to think. The discovery was made using data from NASA's Grail mission, which mapped the gravity of the lunar surface in exquisite detail. The images revealed that of the topography of the surface in the area is almost a perfect rectangle, indicating it formed as the moon's surface moved apart from itself. Grail has revealed features on the moon that no one anticipated before. We had this data in hand, said lead study author Jeffrey Andrews Hanna, a planetary scientist at the Colorado School of Mines. One can only wonder what might lie hidden beneath the surfaces of all the other planets in the solar system. Andrews Hanna added that the pattern of gravity anomalies on the moon is so strikingly geometric and in such unexpected shape that it is forcing us to think in new, different ways about the processes of operating on the moon. The working theory is that the early molten moon cooled in a similar way to the early Earth, where lava tends to cool in hexagonal columns. This happens because where there are 3 cracks intersect, they tend to do it at 120-degree angles, and a hexagon is the only shape on a flat surface where all the angles can be 120 degrees. But
It's a sextile, by the way.
Ooh!
Sextiles
But on
and trines. Anyway, carry on.
But on the moon, in the Procellarum, okay, but on the moon, in the Procellarum region, the surface is curved, not flat, and a rectangle can form with 120-degree corners, hence the square-like structure. So, no, it's not a giant space station under the lunar surface, but it's interesting and unexpected anyway, and could lead to lots of new, interesting ways of thinking about the moon and other planets.
You think there's giant crystals under the surface? Just like Earth?
Oh, I mean, if they're saying that it was lava at one point that cooled down rapidly and there were oceans that would create crystalline structure. And yeah, we know that the composites of the moon is silica. So yes. And I think that's probably why it's so energetically strong. I mean, it just holds massive amounts of celestial information and conscious information. Exactly. And that pressure it gets when the full moon. Yeah. So absolutely.
That's fun. Nice find. And they're like, it's not a space station, okay? It's just crystals. And we're like,
You mean potentially if we align and do the proper alchemical process, we might be able to transport our consciousness directly to underneath the surface of the moon, like some sci-fi tales have told us in the past? The true occult lore? Who knows?
Yes. Right? That's fun. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, nice find. Nice find. I hate how condescending they are, eh? Like, usually it's some UFO nut that just doesn't understand what the fuck they're talking about. But this is real, okay, you guys? Fucking assholes.
Hilarious. I know, and that's kind of the thing with this show specifically is like, you know, we're grabbing ancient Greek lore, we're grabbing folklore, we're grabbing new NASA science studies, you know, anything we can. But when you really kind of take a step back and look at it, it's all about the moon. So they're all telling the same types of stories, and you're going to have like the right left paradigm built into that stuff. And so you got to find the proper discernment. But yeah, undoubtedly, it's just like, okay, great. You know, just to start off this article, let's hit it right off the head. You know, usually it's a UFO nut. And it's just like, you didn't even have to say that. Like that's completely unnecessary. But we see where you lie on your political regime here, Huffington Post. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much. Right? Ridiculous. And with that super left brain article out of the way, I'd love to share a poem and take it back to the right brain.
And do that, please. I'm going to go push these logs in real quick.
By Sarah Teasdale. Dusk in autumn. The moon is like a scimitar, a little silver scimitar, drifting down the sky. And near beside it is a star, a timid, twinkling golden star that watches like an eye. And through the nursery window pane, the witches have a fire again, just like the ones we make. And now I know they're having tea. I wish they'd give a cup to me with witches' currant cake. It's a short one. It's a short one. But I picked it. I mean, same thing as what Romy said. Anytime there's a mention of a moon, I save it. There's like a ridiculous amount of tabs open on my phone, but this one in particular, I liked it because it's talking about being right beside a star, and we're experiencing the first Venus moon conjunction of this particular cycle tomorrow. So I thought that was an appropriate share. So, Roman, didn't you have an article about witches and drawing down the moon?
Did I miss the whole poem already?
You did.
Oh, geez.
It's a short and sweet one.
Okay. Well, yeah, I do. I have that article here. And I'll share my screen because at some point we will get around to putting the videos up if you guys want to see. But we'll go through a couple of these different ones here. So this is just a Wikipedia page of this ritual that is popular in the Wiccan traditions. It's called drawing down the moon. And then I have some other articles on how you can actually put these practices into our daily use. So here we are. Drawing down the moon, also known as drawing down the goddess, is a central ritual in many contemporary Wiccan traditions. During the ritual, a coven's high priestess enters a trance and requests that the goddess, or the triple goddess, symbolized by the moon, enter her body and speak through her. The high priestess may be aided by the high priest, who invokes the spirit of the goddess. During her trance, the goddess is supposed to speak through the high priestess.
Some history. The name most likely comes from the depiction of two women and the moon on an ancient Greek vase, believed to be dated from the 2nd century BCE. It could also come from line 145 of Claudian's first book against Rufinus, Mageria, and one of the Erinyes in the guise of an old man, and speaks to Rufinus. Despite not an old man's feeble limbs, I have the gift of magic, and the fire of prophecy is within me. I have learned that the incantations wherewith Thessalian witches pulled down the bright moon. I know the meaning of the wise Egyptians' runes, the art whereby the Chaldeans impose their will upon the subject gods, the various saps that flow within the trees of power of deadly herbs, and all those that grow on the Caucasus rich and poisonous plants, or to man's bane, clothe the crags of Scythia, herbs such as cruel Medea gathered in the curious Circa. In classical times, the Greek astronomer Aglaïs of Thessaly and ancient Thessalian witches were believed to control the moon. According to the tract, if I command the moon, it will come down, and if I wish to withhold the day, night will linger over my head. And again, if I wish to embark on the sea, I need no ship. If I wish to fly throughout the air, I am free from my weight. The drawing down of the moon derives from Vangelo. In this, a poem defining the drawing down of the moon is written, and this has been used as the basis for the drawing down of the moon of various Wiccan groups. The practice forms both as a Gardenian and Cochranian rites. The practice is also reference to the Reginald Scott's The Discovery of Witchcraft. Through a number of Wiccan traditions may practice a variation of the ritual. The modern form likely originated in Gardnerian Wicca, and is considered a central element of Gardnerian and Alexandrian Wiccan ceremonies. During the modern rite, the high priestess may recite the charge of the goddess, a text based in a mixture of writings from Gerald Gardner to Aleister Crowley, though now often used in its recension by Doreen Valiente. The high priestess in the Gardnerian tradition, Mel D. Faber, explains the ritual in a psychoanalytical terms of attempting to reunite with the protective mother archetype. In modern tradition, some solitary Wiccans also perform the ritual, usually within a circle performed under the light of a full moon. The solitary will stand in the goddess pose, both arms held high, palms up, and arms forming a Y, and recite a charge or a chant. Now, I'm going to go here, and I'll explain the ritual itself, if you guys actually want to practice this. Here's the basic drawing down ritual. There are many different ways to draw down the moon, and the method you will use will vary, depending on your needs and the customs of your individual spiritual tradition. For this version, begin by standing at your altar with your arms crossed over your chest and feet together. Face toward the full moon and say, "Goddess of the moon, you have been known by many names in many lands and many times. You are universal and constant. In the dark of the night, you shine down upon us and bathe us in your light and love. I ask you, O Divine One, to honor me by joining with me and allowing me to feel your presence within my heart." Move your feet apart and about shoulder width, and raise your arms up and out to welcome the goddess into you. The next part is one that you can memorize and learn, or you can speak spontaneously from the heart. You may begin to feel a surge of energy, a palpable tingle. Don't worry, that's the goddess making herself known to you. Feel free to change these words as you like. You are speaking for her in her voice, so let her say what she wishes to say. I am the mother of all life, one who watches over all. I am the wind in the sky, the spark in the fire, the seedling in the earth, and the water in the river. I am the vessel from which all things spring forth. Honor me from within your heart. Remember that acts of love and pleasure are my rituals, and that there is beauty in all things, and honor me on this night of the full moon. I have been with you since the moment you were created, and shall remain with you always, and let there be beauty and strength, wisdom and honor, humility and courage within you. If you need me, call upon me, and I shall come to you, for I am everywhere, always. Honor me as you seek knowledge. I am the maiden, the mother, and the crone, and I live within you. Feel the power of the goddess within you. When you are ready to conclude, say this. I look down upon the sands of the desert. I crash the tides upon the shore. I shine on the mighty trees of the forest and watch with joy as life continues every cycle. Be true to me, honoring that which I have created, and I shall be true to you in return, with harm to none. So it shall be. Take a few moments to stand and bask in her glow, and to meditate upon that which you have just experienced. Once the energy surge has subsided, lower your arms and proceed with your ceremony as you normally would at the conclusion of a ritual.
Do so at your own risk.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, yeah. But, if you feel a palpable tingle, it might be working.
Drawing something down anyway.
Hey, I know Kaylee's very, very concerned with people doing rituals because you can do them in ways and invite something into your own energy that might not actually be what you had thought you were inviting. This is true. This is very, very, very true. So to be incredibly intentional and conscious and aware and observe, but also at the same time, I think it is important to at least know about these things. I think these are important things that that are getting lost and swept out of society, unfortunately. And we feel an energy, we feel a special spiritual connection when the full moon comes around. So enacting with it in your way is beautiful. Do it how it feels comfortable to you. And you can draw down whatever type of moon energy you want, but you don't even have to go outside. Just, sitting within the energy that's getting permeated from that beautiful paternal source.
Word. Either way, that was beautiful. Thank you, Romy.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kaylee Starr.
Roman Gator.
Oh yeah, so definitely gonna release this tonight. I'm gonna put it out, and so everybody can get as much of the juice as they can during this new moon and before the full moon.
The next episode that we'll be recording, just to touch on this again real quick, will be with my teacher Gemini Brett, and I'm really excited for this because I told him how almost every episode we end up talking about solar calendar versus lunar calendar, and that you have so many questions about it, and so many people in the conspiracy theory, truth seeking, alternative research community have questions about this, and it comes up every single time. So he's like, what do you want to talk about? And I'm like, calendars, obviously. We're in Capricorn, we got to talk about time, baby. So
yes
yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And we're planning to record and then have it out before the Chinese New Year. So that is the plan. I'm really stoked about that. And I believe Chinese New Year is on January 22nd. So we'll have a little bit of time in between recording and putting it out. The other thing that's coming up that I'm also really excited about is Brett is teaming up with Daniel Giamario of the Shamanic Astrology School to put together a course about the lunar standstill. and I know I can count at least 5 people off the top of my head that will be interested. Right now, I'm like Gabriel. At least 5 people off the top of my head that'll be interested in learning about that, because I know next to nothing about the astronomy behind why that is a thing. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm sure he'll touch on that a little bit when we talk to him, because that'll be really cool. What else? Oh, any other exciting announcements? Roman is a prolific podcast producer. This man pumps out podcasts like no other. I've never seen anything like it. So if you are not aware, if you've never listened to Rising from the Ashes, go look them up. It covers so many different topics. What's the topic of the month right now, my brother?
So December is like a free for all topic. We just wrapped up the paranormal earth energetics combo month, which was like us kind of trying to be like, okay, is there a method to the madness of where people are having more paranormal experiences? Is it in more electromagnetic heavy spots? So for people that don't know, that really want to have a great grand old fun time, one of the other podcasts you can check out is called Esoteric America, and it's a video-based podcast that we do with myself, Mark from My Family Thinks I'm Crazy, and Chad Stumke, an author out of Detroit, Michigan. And we dive into people's different regions. And during this last episode, we were covering Austin, Texas, and I finally found the map that is the ultimate. Like, I'm going to be using this resource like crazy. It's called mrdata.usgs. And you can type in magnetic anomaly map, right? Mr. Data USGS, and you'll find it.
Ooh.
And you can find all the magnetic anomalies on the surface, gravity, where it has high gravity, less gravity, so on and so forth. So I recommend you guys go and check that out. Check that resource out if you want to check where you live. See if there's magnetic anomalies around you. Go to those places. See what type of like conscious heightening experiences you can have. That was
mrdata.us?
USGS.gov. Yeah, I would just try to type into Google. I would type in magnetic anomaly map, Mr. Data USGS, and you'll probably find it. I can post a link in the description. I might forget, but I hopefully will not. I might have to make an extra note to do that. But anyways, so point I'm getting at, that was the paranormal earth energetics month, was, where are people seeing UFOs? Where are you having haunted experiences? Is there a play within gravity, within the mineral content of the land, cymatics, so on and so forth? But what to look forward to, everybody, is what Rising from the Ashes is really all about is ancient history. And so we are diving into the Celtic mysteries, ancient Druids, the British Isles, and the Northern European mystics, mysterious history that we're going to consolidate and do some really big deep dives with some amazing authors. And we have some incredible guests lined up. So look forward to that. If you guys are into, ancient serpent symbolism and the Celtic mysteries, like ancient Celts blow my mind. Gaelic, grimoires, Celts, like all of that is some of my most favorite part of history. So that's what we're going to be focusing on Rising from the Ashes for the first part of 2023.
That's exciting. Yeah, just to remind everybody, on Mondays on my YouTube and Odyssey channel, I stream an astrology and tarot show talking about the week ahead, any major transits happening, and then I go through each of the zodiac signs with a breakdown for your rising sign of like one of the major transits, and then pull some cards for you. It usually ends up being like a 3 sometimes 4 hour stream. It's a lot.
Well, because it's an interactive live show. So there's an incredible group of people that come every Monday and have fun in the chats. It's like an incredibly lively place. Moonday Tarot is awesome. I love it. And thank you so much. That's how we got to going. That's how Kaylee and I have discovered each other in our paths on the internet. And now here we are. So life's great.
Da, da, da.
Life is great.
I'm checking out this map. It's so cool.
Oh, she's on it. Okay. What did you type in Google?
Mr. Data Magnetic Anomaly.
Nice.
And then it, boom, first result. Yeah.
Did you go to your area? How's it looking? If you type the magnetic anomaly and then right below that, there's the gravity, the different gravity buttons. Click those. And then when you mix magnetic anomaly with gravity, you start to see the really dense areas. What was really interesting, and I don't want to spoil it because it's an incredible episode that'll be coming out in a couple of days. And so in the show Esoteric America, you know, we're trying to get to the bottom of like the foundation of America's roots and how occult it is. And in Texas is just huge money for history. It's insane. Texas history is amazing. But you have Austin, you have Dallas, and you have Houston. Okay. So I was looking at these three cities and I was like, what? They form a triangle. I was like, okay, so you have Austin here on the west side, you have the East Houston, and then you have Dallas, which Dallas actually sits on the 33rd degree parallel, which aligns with Los Angeles, California, and also Athens, Georgia, which hilariously enough, Austin, Texas is known as the Athens of the South, as opposed to the town that's literally called Athens in Georgia. And so I was like, okay, here we are. You know, we have this triangle. So I took a shape of a triangle on my photo editor, and I just put a perfect triangle in there. I was like, it fits. I was like, okay, these towns are exactly equilateral triangles distance. And then I pulled up the Mr. Data map. And what did I find? That in between the interior of the triangle between Austin, Dallas, and Houston is not only a magnetic anomaly in the highest spectrum available, hot, bright, fluorescent pink on the map. It also has gravity anomalies. And so in between Dallas, Houston, and Austin is all of this insane energy. So anyways, life's crazy. I love podcasting and researching. We're just constantly blowing my mind, and my noodles are always have to get swept up and mopped up off the floor.
Apparently I'm in a hot pink zone right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit.
Love that. Love that.
Right beside the big city, it starts going yellow, orange, hot pink. Boom. Right, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and if you look at the East Coast is like insane. The East Coast is mega magnets.
There's a town in Alberta called Vulcan.
Holy shit.
Yeah, right, I know, right off the bat, but it's flat as fuck. There's no volcanoes, but they have some Star Trek themed stuff there, but also an observatory. Hot pink, almost white. Right around where Vulcan is. So going on a road trip.
Yes. Go on that road trip, dude. Bring your crystals with you.
Hey, now. I'm going to find some crystals.
All right. Well, now we're just having fun. But everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. Kaylee, you're amazing. Thank you, bud.
You're amazing. I'm sorry you missed my poem. That's okay. It tied into your Wicce article though, so it was perfect.
Oh, beautiful. I'll definitely
I sent it to you.
Listen to this. Oh, you did? Oh, good.
It's like you missed it. Here you go. Okay, my friends. Thanks for listening. Sorry, we got a little silly at the end here. It's kind of just, it happens. With Roman, it happens. But,
it's true.
Word. Okay, so look forward to speaking with you guys again, and have a lovely, lovely, lovely month. And yeah,
cheers.
We'll be back with an interview episode real quick.
Oh, yeah. Bye.